After years of saving, my husband finally opened a small landscaping business. He parked his branded trailer on our curb. The neighbor came out and said, "We don't need that kind of work advertised here." A day later, his tires were slashed and a citation arrived for operating a business in a residential zone. I did some digging. The complaint was filed from a burner email, but the IP traced back to the neighbor's son's gaming console. What we did next not only cleared my husband's name, it got her business shut down for good. My husband Mike and I live in a middle-class suburb just outside Cincinnati, Ohio. It's the kind of neighborhood where people pretend they're friendlier than they are. A lot of old folks, people who love rules, love gossip, and love watching from their windows like it's their full-time job. We worked hard for years. Mike did backbreaking warehouse work while I worked office jobs to make ends meet. But we saved. Slowly. Mike has always been amazing with landscaping. He could make a dying lawn look like it belonged on a golf course. So last year, after enough saving, Mike finally did it. He quit his job and started his own landscaping company, M&M Curb Appeal. It was a big deal for us. He bought a used truck, some good tools, and finally, after months of searching, a trailer. He even got it wrapped professionally with his logo and phone number. That trailer was his pride and joy. We couldn't afford commercial parking yet, so we parked it on the street right outside our house. The day after it was parked, Rhonda came out. Rhonda is our neighbor across the street. Mid-50s, always dressed up like she's on her way to a church board meeting. The kind who never says hello unless she's judging you. She walks over, arms crossed, and stares at the trailer like it's leaking oil or something. "We don't need that kind of work advertised here," she said. Mike and I looked at each other. "What kind of work?" he asked. She smiled, but it was the fake kind. "You know. Yard work. Construction. It gives the neighborhood a certain look." I swear I could feel Mike's blood pressure rise, but he stayed calm. "It's legal to park here." She tilted her head. "Not if it's a business. You should be careful with the rules." Then she walked away. The next morning, 2 tires on the trailer were slashed. Deep cuts. We called the police. They came, wrote up a report, but said there were no cameras, no leads, and honestly, they didn't seem that interested. Mike was pissed. Replacing those tires cost us over $400. That was money we were going to use for advertising. We chalked it up to bad luck and moved on. Until the next day. That's when we got the letter. A city citation. It said we were operating a business in a residential zone and that parking the trailer on the street was a violation. It even had a fine attached. My husband just stared at it. I could see the hurt in his face. Like everything we'd worked for was already crumbling. I called the city. The woman I spoke to said a complaint had been filed online. Anonymous. But when I asked more questions, she clammed up. It was filed through our public system. That's all I can say. I wasn't letting it go. I work in an office that handles digital stuff all the time. I know a thing or two about IPs, metadata, and tracking digital footprints. But I'm not a pro, so I called my friend Nate. He used to do cybersecurity for a private company before going freelance. I sent him the email the city forwarded. It was from some generic Gmail account with a name like Neighborhood Watch 45. But Nate dug into the email headers and found the IP address. He couldn't trace the exact name, but he could trace the network it came from. It was a residential IP. Right on our street. Even better? The device used to send it wasn't a computer. It was a PlayStation 5. Now guess who has a teenage son with a loud mouth and a PS5? Rhonda. Her son Tyler is 17 and thinks he's God's gift to gaming. He's always in the driveway or on the porch screaming into his headset like he's leading a military squad. I've seen him every day for years. So now we knew. Tyler used his PS5 to file the fake complaint against my husband's business. We couldn't prove Rhonda told him to do it, but let's be real. A 17-year-old doesn't just wake up and file legal complaints about landscaping trailers without someone pushing him. We could have gone to the cops or the city. But that wasn't enough for me. Because here's the thing about Rhonda. She runs her own business. Forever and always events. She's a wedding planner. Except she doesn't have an office anywhere. No business address. Just operates out of her house. We see vans pull up all the time. She has floral deliveries, people coming and going, employees setting up arrangements in her living room. And remember what the city said? You can't operate a business in a residential zone. I did some research. Checked her website. No commercial license. Just an email. Said by appointment only. So I made a fake Gmail, made up a name, and emailed her asking for a wedding consultation. She replied within hours. Super friendly. Gave me a Saturday appointment. I showed up with my phone recording video in my purse. Her house was filled with wedding stuff. Racks of dresses in her hallway. Flower vases and stands stacked in the garage. A girl, probably a college student, sat at her kitchen table taking notes and scheduling other appointments. I even asked her if this was her business space and she said, "Oh yeah, Rhonda runs everything from here." I thanked them, left, and sent everything I recorded to the city. And I didn't stop there. I also emailed the IRS. I had screenshots from her site where she said she takes cash only. No invoices. No taxes. No paper trail. My guess? She was running everything under the table. Within a few weeks, things started happening. City inspectors showed up. First it was just one car. Then two. They went through everything. After that came the notices. A big yellow cease and desist sign was taped to her front door. She ripped it down that same day, but it was too late. The business was under investigation. Her website disappeared a few days later. We saw fewer and fewer cars at her house. Then came a moving truck. Word around the neighborhood was that her husband moved out. Rumor was he didn't even know she wasn't reporting most of the money she was making. Meanwhile, Mike's business? It started picking up. People heard what happened, some from us, some from neighbors, and they supported him. One guy from down the street even let him rent a space on his commercial property for cheap. Now every time we drive past that empty house across the street, Mike smiles. But it's not over. Things were quiet for a while after Rhonda left. Her house sat empty for about 2 months, weeds growing up the side, mail piling up. Mike and I felt like we could finally breathe again. His business was doing better every month. He picked up some regular commercial clients, and we were finally starting to pay off our debts. But I should have known better. Peace never lasts long around here. One Friday night, about 10 weeks after the last moving truck left Rhonda's driveway, a black SUV pulled up. It was late, around 10:30 p.m. No lights on, engine running, just sitting there across the street. I stood at the window watching it, and a cold feeling crept over me. After about 10 minutes, a man got out and walked up to Rhonda's old house. He used a key. Lights turned on inside. By morning, we saw him clearly. Mid-40s, stocky, sharp haircut, clearly ex-military or something. 2 more cars showed up that weekend. By Sunday, the house looked alive again. Lawn was mowed, curtains up, a shiny silver mailbox installed. Then Monday morning came. And with it, a new headache. Mike and I were just getting coffee when we heard a bang outside. I went to the window and saw a man, same guy from the SUV, standing next to our truck. He was taking pictures of the trailer. Up close. From all angles. Mike stepped outside and called out, "Something I can help you with?" The man turned slowly. "Just documenting." Mike raised an eyebrow. "Documenting what?" "Property lines. Street rules. Zoning stuff." Nothing personal. Mike didn't say another word, just stared him down until he walked back across the street. I felt sick. We thought we were done with this crap. Later that day, I did some digging. I pulled up the local property records. The man's name was Eric Dalton. Turns out, Rhonda didn't sell her house to a stranger. She signed it over to her brother. We didn't know she had one. But there it was, Eric Dalton, newly registered owner of the property. And here's the kicker, he runs a private security company. Not a big one, but enough to have uniforms, marked vehicles, and contracts with a few local businesses. Guess what I saw parked behind the house 2 nights later? A black van with his company's logo on it. And guess what started showing up in our mail? Noise complaints. Warnings about unlicensed business activity. A new complaint about unpermitted signage on Mike's trailer. Same crap, different name. It was Rhonda all over again, but this time through her bulldog of a brother. Only this guy? He didn't just file complaints. He watched. We'd catch him standing in the yard with binoculars. His security guys would patrol the street, even though no one asked them to. One of them even knocked on our door pretending to do a community safety survey. It was creepy as hell. We knew we had to be smarter this time. Mike wanted to confront him, but I told him no. We couldn't just yell and hope it stopped. We had to dig, again. So I looked into Eric's business. Pulled up his company's website. Found out he was offering armed patrol services. Problem is, in Ohio, there are strict laws about armed private security. You need certain licenses. Insurance. And any company offering armed patrols has to be registered with the state and city. I checked the state database. His license was expired. Had been for almost 6 months. I wasn't shocked. Most bullies think the rules don't apply to them. So I got copies of everything. Screenshots. Old archived versions of his site. Even took video of one of his guys wearing a sidearm while walking down our street. Then I called in a few favors. Nate helped me again, dug into Eric's LinkedIn connections. Found out he used to have a contract with a chain of hardware stores in the area. I called one pretending to be a business owner looking for security. Slipped a question in, "Hey, is that the company you guys use?" "Oh, we used to," the woman said. "But not after what happened." I kept my voice calm. "Oh really? What happened?" "Let's just say there were some issues with paperwork. And one of their guards pulled a gun on a customer. We dropped them real fast. That was the last piece I needed." I packaged everything, state violations, expired licenses, armed guards without permits, and the fake complaints against Mike's business, and sent it to the State Board of Private Investigators and Security Services. 2 weeks later, a car from the state showed up. Then another. Then Eric's security van disappeared. A cease operations order was slapped right on the windshield. But it's not over yet. Because Rhonda's name has popped up again, this time in a legal filing. And this next part? It goes beyond petty complaints. I found out about the legal filing purely by accident. I was at the county clerk's office trying to get a zoning map printed for Mike's newest client, some restaurant guy who wanted a full outdoor makeover. While I was waiting, I started making small talk with the clerk, an older guy named Bill. I asked him how busy things were lately, just being polite. He sighed. "Busy. Lots of filings from that Rhonda woman again. You know, the one who ran that wedding business illegally?" My stomach dropped. I didn't let on. Just smiled and asked, "She's still in town?" "She's not supposed to be," he muttered. "But she filed a new DBA with the county last week." I played dumb. What's a DBA? Doing business as. Fake business name. People use it when they want to hide ownership. When I got back to the house, I looked it up. Sure enough, just 7 days earlier, someone named Rebecca Dawn had filed a new business registration under the name Event and Estate Solutions. Same field, event planning. Same contact number as the one Rhonda used to have. I searched deeper. The contact address listed wasn't Rhonda's old house. It was Eric's. Her brother's house. Across the street from us. So now we knew. Rhonda never actually left town. She just pretended to sell her house, gave it to her brother, and set up a new fake business using a fake name. Rebecca Dawn wasn't just a pseudonym. It was Rhonda's middle name flipped around. I sat Mike down that night and showed him everything. He just stared at the screen and said, "She's not going to stop, is she?" No. She wasn't. This wasn't just about her being bitter. She was using us as a shield. Hiding her illegal crap by making us look like the problem. But we had one thing on our side, paper trails. I printed everything out. The burner email's IP trace. The fake DBA filing. The armed security violations. The complaints filed under her son's IP. I organized it all in a binder. Labeled tabs. Color-coded highlights. I wanted to be ready in case this ever went legal. But then something happened that changed everything. One of Mike's new commercial clients, an older man named Carl who owned a banquet hall, called him in a panic. He said, "Hey Mike, I just got this weird email. Someone told me you've got a criminal record and you lied about your insurance." Mike nearly dropped the phone. He doesn't have any kind of record. And he has full insurance, paid up and active. Carl forwarded us the email. It came from a Gmail account named ConcernedVendor44. The body of the email was short. Just a few sentences warning Carl to do a background check before you get sued and that Mike wasn't who he claimed to be. I knew immediately who it was. Rhonda was trying to smear him now. Going after his clients one by one. But here's the thing, she made a mistake this time. The email used the exact same phrase that showed up in a past post on Rhonda's now-deleted website. Always protect your vendors, or you might regret the price later. I had a screenshot of that post from months ago, thanks to the Wayback Machine. That single line tied the new Gmail account directly to her writing style, maybe even her identity. This was more than just petty harassment now. She was sabotaging our business, attacking Mike's reputation, and could cause him to lose clients. So I took it to a lawyer. We found a local guy who specialized in small business defamation. He reviewed everything, my binder, the complaints, the emails, even the IP tracing. He looked up at us halfway through and said, "You've got more than enough to make this a civil case. Maybe even criminal if we can prove intent to harm." We filed a cease and desist within a week. The notice was sent to Rebecca Dawn at Eric Dalton's address. No response. But just days later, Eric himself came to our door. He didn't knock, he pounded. Mike opened it. I stood right behind him. Eric looked pissed. "What the hell are you trying to pull?" Mike kept calm. "Are you here about the cease and desist?" Eric pointed a finger at me. "She doesn't know what she's playing with." I stepped in front of Mike. "You think threatening me is going to make your sister's mess go away?" Eric gritted his teeth. "You're messing with people who have nothing to lose." That was the last thing he said before he stormed off. But you know what? That line stuck with me. Because it told me something important. They were desperate. They were losing. And desperate people make mistakes. I was ready for the next one. 2 weeks later, the final strike came, and it changed everything. Mike was on a job site, trimming hedges at a dentist's office, when 2 uniformed officers showed up and asked for him. They had a warrant to search his trailer. They said they got an anonymous tip that he was storing unlicensed chemicals and improper landscaping equipment in a public area. Mike called me while they were searching. His voice shook. Not with fear, he was furious. "They're tearing through everything," he said. Even opened up the leaf blower like it's a drug stash. I dropped everything and rushed over. They didn't find a damn thing. Because there wasn't anything. Just grass tools. Fertilizer we bought at Lowe's. One of the cops even apologized as they left. Said they had to follow up on every tip, even dumb ones. That was the moment I snapped. Rhonda had crossed the line. This wasn't passive-aggressive anymore. This was full-blown sabotage. That night, I went through every folder in my binder. Every email. Every photo. Every name tied to her mess. I sent copies of everything to the state licensing board, with a detailed complaint against both Rhonda and Eric for fraud and harassment. The IRS, again, this time with her new fake business info. The Small Business Administration, for filing false claims. The police, with a full report linking the original fake tip to her IP address, proving a pattern. But I also sent something else, to a local news station. Not some national outlet. Just a small investigative team from Channel 9 who did community corruption stories. I wrote out the whole timeline. I didn't hold back. I included our names, photos of the vandalized trailer, city citations, security van violations, even Eric's threat at our doorstep. They bit. Within a week, a reporter showed up to interview us. They blurred our house, used fake names, but the story aired on a Tuesday evening. Title: Local landscaper harassed by neighbor's secret business ring, a pattern of retaliation and fraud? The fallout was immediate. 2 days after the story aired, the state board officially suspended Eric's business license. His security firm was shut down for good. Then the IRS got involved. They filed an official lien against Event and Estate Solutions, the new business Rhonda tried to build. She owed back taxes, a lot of them. Penalties too. And it didn't stop there. Turns out Rhonda had taken out small business loans during COVID under her old wedding company name, loans she never paid back. The news coverage stirred up more scrutiny, and within a month, she was under federal investigation for fraudulent loan use. One morning we watched from our window as a black government SUV pulled up to Eric's house. Rhonda was there. She tried to sneak out the back door. They caught her. Handcuffs. Right on the lawn. It was quiet for a long time after that. Her brother moved out a few weeks later. The house is still empty, just like before. But now it's different. Because now, when people drive by and see Mike's trailer, they know the truth. They know who the problem really was. But I'll be honest about something. I wasn't innocent in all this either. I could have walked away after the first warning. After the tires. Even after the smear emails. But I didn't. I kept pushing. I got obsessed. I spent months digging, tracking, documenting. I used fake names, fake consultations, and I baited her into showing her true self. There were nights I barely slept. Nights I forgot to eat. I was so focused on destroying her that I stopped seeing the toll it took on me. On Mike. He told me once, I don't need revenge. I just need peace. But I didn't listen. Now we have peace. We also have silence. Cold, empty silence across the street where Rhonda used to glare from her porch. And even though we won, I don't know if it feels like victory. But I do know this, if you ever try to destroy a man's dream with lies and spite, you better be damn sure your own house is in order. Because some of us? We keep everything. And we fight back twice as hard.